Hello, everyone, and welcome to the session. Before we begin, a few housekeeping notes. The attendee lines will be muted throughout the session. We will be taking questions throughout the presentation utilizing the chat panel on the event website, not the Zoom chat. Please enter any questions you have on costinsight.com chat panel. We will answer as many questions at the end of the session as possible. So at that, I'm going to pass off to the GE team, and I really do appreciate all the time and effort they put into putting this presentation together. Thank you.
Thanks, David. It's our honor to be presenting today. Hello, everyone. I am Jaswinder Walia, working for GE Aviation at their headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, US. I have been in aerospace and defense domain for 22 years, and in my current role as engineering CIO for GE Aviation, my key focus areas are digital thread, product lifecycle management, model-based enterprise, and costing technologies. I am joined today by my colleague, Kedar Kyle.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kedar. Very happy to be here and honored to be presenting today. I am part of GE Aviation as well. Been in this industry for more than 16 years, primarily focused on the model-based enterprise and the cost technology teams. I'm also located at our headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, US.
Thanks. So together, we will take you through our experience and reflections on the cost journey of our business. First, a little bit about GE Aviation. GE Aviation is a world-leading provider of jet and turboprop engines, as well as integrated systems for commercial, military, business, and general aviation aircraft. We have a global service network to support these offerings. Few quick trivia facts. Anywhere at any given point of time in the world, every 2 seconds, there is an aircraft that takes off powered by GE Aviation engine technology. At any given point of time, there are 2,200 aircraft flying, carrying passengers safely. And there are 300,000 plus people who are depending on the reliability of our engines to take them to their final destinations. With this comes great responsibility of bringing people safely back home. In the military world, 2/3 of the fighters in the US fleet, 2/3 of the helicopter in the US fleet, and half of the bombers in the Air Force fleet are powered by GE Aviation. This, in addition to the 3/4 of the gas turbine powered combat surface vessels within the global Navy fleet as well. So we have a lot of products that are flying today and are being serviced by this business. Let's now walk through what our journey has been around cost out. This started 4 years ago when we started laying down the enterprise-wide vision for advancing the state-of-the-art on costing technologies. One of the key areas of focus was to make data available in the hands of many engineers so that they are able to act on that information to drive the right business outcomes. We also created a broader cost out framework. From having a set of fragmented tools, we came up with a strategy that laid out this framework that could be adopted enterprise-wide. The next couple of years are focused on how do we scale enterprise-wide, how do we break down these organization silos. Any large company of our size has various divisions and handoffs and interdependencies. So there was a concerted effort that we looked at breaking down these organization silos. We, being in aerospace and defense industry, had some unique requirements that needed additions to what products were available off the shelf. So we added those as capability amplifiers to help us drive the right outcomes. All of it comes together when we have a great user engagement and adoption strategy. So that's what was one of our key focus areas as well. This year onwards, we have been laser sharp focused on driving the business transformation at an enterprise level where this becomes more of a standard work from ad hoc application or event-driven applications as it stands today. Overall, it has been very satisfying to be on this multi-year cultural transformation journey as part of this business. The first topic we wanted to talk about today is around how did we actually set the enterprise-wide vision. If you see, there are three key, sides of the or three sides of the stool or three legs of the stool here. The first one is regarding the C-suite and the executive leadership. The second is our associates and our teams, and the third is around the business processes. We started by setting a very clear vision of where we wanted to go. What was our current state and how does the end state really look like? With that came the right prioritization from the business teams, as well as the right capital allocation to drive this initiative forward. Next was to create a very strong bond and partnership between IT as well as the business teams. This is crucial because for an industry like ours, we depend highly on the domain expertise that various engineering teams and manufacturing teams have, which can be put to good use when they have the right tools in their hands. So creating this contemporary tool set and cost culture focus was key for us. Last but not the least, we had to rally the entire team and align this narrative across our whole enterprise. With clearly defined goals and a long-term commitment by the executive leadership, everybody knew where we were going and everybody was committed to drive this change. This strategic alignment across our whole organization enabled us to move very swiftly and in the right focused manner to develop these cost technologies. One of the key areas where we initially had a lot of challenges was around the space of cost data. Historically, this data has been restricted in access. This data is available, but in discrete systems. So the user had to pull various different information from discrete systems of record. And the information is available in bits and pieces at a part level. So these challenges were there for us to really address. And one of the key enablers for us came in form of creation of data lake. So we created this data lake where we brought all of this information together so that the data is accessible. Then we looked at how do you stitch the data and then really publish some of the data sets which serve as the source of truth so that this data is usable. With a data lake, every user going into the system can hit various records and can get different results because of the data quality. So these published data sets help us govern that data and drive the right data quality to drive the outcomes. Another key area was the cultural change from going to need to know basis for this cost information to a little broader based usage. The key focus for us was to put this information in the hands of every engineer so that they are aware of what hardware they own, how does it cost, what are the cost drivers for their component, and how they can make these trade-off in terms of design studies, if early in design cycle, or make trade-off or evaluate different cost out opportunities if later in the design stage. So all of this helped us, in multiple ways, creating and using the data as well as data analytics, which enabled us to transition and translate this data into meaningful insights, which helped us drive business decisions at a much rapid and quicker pace. This whole intent of collaborating across the enterprise and also co-creation of this information across the enterprise helped us enable drive big business outcomes.
I'll talk a bit about the cost out framework that we established in detail. Right? It is important for us to have the right cost estimation tools as we progress through the different phases of the product lifecycle. as well as have the tools and methodology needed to look at the data as well as to prioritize it right. So aPriori is the should costing platform that we have, which we use to drive physics-based should cost models across the business, across different kinds of parts and components. But at the same time, we also do a lot of derivative studies and analysis, right? Particularly for part families. This is important for us to compare the cost of similar parts, whether it be based on their design intent or parameters or manufacturing processes, and also importantly, across different product lines and how the cost is varying today and identify the opportunities out there. And this was an important tool as well for us to determine a lot of opportunities, particularly in the older product lines as well when we started looking across. We still do have a area where we need expert estimates, where we need to tap into a deep domain expert within the business to really do some should cost estimate manually for specific areas, right? And we continue to leverage that for those areas. As all of you are aware, a lot of the costs get defined very early in the product lifecycle, right? As we are initially designing the part. So it is important that we had an early design cost estimation mechanism as well, where we are using this data to do trades early in the cycle. Although it is important to note that we do not have detailed 3D geometrical models at that point in time. So we have this homegrown capability which uses 2D curves, cross sections to look at the historical cost and then help do the trades that are needed at that point in time in the life cycle. Using all of these methodologies, we pushed for the generation of cost estimate for as many parts across as many product lines as we can. And using the data lake functionality and the data democratization, which Jaswinder just talked about, using cost-based analytics, we are able to identify opportunities where there is opportunity to reduce cost across parts, across product lines, and also use this dashboard and data analytics functionality to prioritize the cost out opportunities which provided the largest business value. And this framework has been really effective, proven in helping us drive product cost out across the business. But who really owns cost, right? I think if you look at in the aviation industry, right, safety is the topmost priority as it rightly should be. Then there is performance. You will have weight or fuel efficiency considerations. Cost does not make into this list very often. And that is something that we needed to address. Having all of the data available, the tools and techniques available, who really owned cost? If you looked at the design engineer who owns the hardware, some of them thought they own, others thought the sourcing team owns because they are the ones who are negotiating with the suppliers. Some of them thought the manufacturing team owns. Others pointed to the cost analyst or the specialist who was generating the cost estimates, whether it be should cost or historical cost. Right? I think that was one of the key things that we needed to address. Having all of this framework also led to what data should I trust, right? Which is the tool I should use when? And now that all of the data was visible, available, how can I trust what is the data that is approved to be used and move forward? And then who has the ability to see that information? These were some of the organizational silos that we needed to break and really unite the enterprise in order to maximize the benefit that we wanted to achieve through this cost journey. And the solution came from forming mission-based teams, right? This is essentially a mission team comprising of all of these actors and more, establishing shared goals across all of these divisions and the people involved in that to rally them towards that single objective. What accelerated this journey was obviously the data analytics, which enabled us to go to the execution from insights and from the data much faster than we were traditionally able to do. We also leveraged a lot of cross-domain expertise as we went along. And then the cycle of learn, do, learn continued, right? I think we learned a lot about the process that we are employing in the business, the tools and techniques that we are employing in the business. And we are able to take that feedback, back to our development teams, to our business process owners, in terms of what kind of improvements were needed to put together in place to carry on this journey and scale at an enterprise level. This essentially brought us to the realization that we had to do some additional capability enhancements to expand the usage of physics-based should costing methodology within the business. Like I said earlier, we use aPriori for a lot of the foundational costing framework, cyber compliance, which is becoming very important for across the industry, more so in the defense industry that we are in. But then when we started this journey, only about 1/4 of our parts we were able to effectively should cost using aPriori. What we realized is that we are missing some of the key components that we added over the years and continue to do that in the journey. First one is materials and machines. Right? We realized that we needed to add some aviation aerospace specific super alloys to our library. So we expanded our material library for that. We also added a lot of bigger machines to take care of the components which run into several feet in diameter. Right? So those are some of the things that we have done over the years to improve capability. The next one was all of the special manufacturing processes that we have. Right? To give you a few examples, right? We have a number of joining processes, surface treatment processes, also a lot of non-traditional machining processes that we have for our components, which are aerospace specific. So it was important for us to add those inside and enable a more accurate cost estimate, which came out from the tool. But it was not just enough to add that capability. For our users to really trust and take forward that data, we needed to also have our domain experts within the company to say yes and stamp their approval on that. So we put together a comprehensive process in terms of reviewing that data, validating the use cases, and seeking their formal approval before we rolled it out to the users. And that kind of added the additional credibility to this overall activity that we did. And then the last layer is obviously of the security. It is very important given the global user base that we have within GE Aviation, working across different geographies, and also the defense and the commercial programs that we continue to operate on. It is very important to manage the export control classification of all the information, as well as protecting the GE intellectual property. And we used some homegrown techniques and services that are broadly used across the organization, across different enterprise platforms, on top of aPriori core functionality, to make this a holistic solution which our global users can continue to operate. Through this journey, we started from 1/4 of our parts. We are currently slightly more than half of our parts that we are able to effectively should cost, and we want to go to almost 2/3 by the end of next year. I think amplifying the core capabilities has been really important in this journey, and we continue to do that. Engaging the users, right? I think the more we emphasize on this is always better, right? As we continue to go at a fast pace, adding capability, adding frameworks, techniques, and engaging the enterprise, it is important that we drive the cap and adoption with our large user community that comes along with that. We have gone out with a very robust framework and plan to do that. We have dedicated people who are ambassadors for the team and the organization who continue to drive this with the larger user base. But it starts with understanding who the stakeholders are, what are the key messages and stories that we want to take to our users, and who are the different personas, the way you saw it on the previous slide, in terms of a design engineer or a sourcing commodity buyer, and what kind of communication we need to do to them. So we had specific goals around our communication, engaged a larger communication team along with our organization, and also continue to track and measure these results. We used various techniques in our playbook to do that, right from formal training, taking the users through these different tool sets and providing them the hands-on capability and skill set, doing regular office hours to answer any user questions, hosting dedicated feedback sessions, and capturing their feedback, doing road shows to generate awareness, effectively using the company's social channels like Yammer, Teams, technical communities, and emails to reach our users. And then also going into our lean tool set with Gemba, going and sitting with the users and really experiencing the kind of activities that the user has to perform on a day-to-day basis. All of this put together formed our engagement adoption strategy with our users, and we continue to drive it as we go along in this journey.
The quality of the solution into the acceptance of the solution is equal to the effectiveness of the solution. So thanks, Kedar, for walking us and helping create the adoption strategy, which was critical as much as creating the right technology for driving it forward. So let's take a look at where we are going next. If you look at the state of the art today, or what is our current state of affairs, largely we are utilizing all the good frameworks, skill sets, technologies that we have deployed at enterprise scale, largely from an event-driven perspective. So today, if there is a big negotiation coming up, right, everybody gets the act together. We run various plays and simulations to understand the cost imperatives for the hardware that's being negotiated for. We also have dedicated product lines and their cost goals that are tracked as metrics and key performance indicators for the enterprise. And as and when they are defined, there is a big rallying cry behind it, and all of the teams rally together to help drive the right amount of business outcomes. Our vision is to move from this event-driven mechanism to a place where this is at an enterprise level happening more as a standard work. We want to have cost culture embedded in the DNA of the organization, so that in the design process early on, as well as in the subsequent life cycle phases of the product, people are thinking about cost. Kedar mentioned a couple of key criteria that are always traded off, like specific fuel consumption, performance, durability, etc. We want cost to become that trade-off metric as well. Also, using some of these advanced technologies and capabilities that are being now added for auto costing, etc., coupled with the advanced analytics that we run, should help us define the cost for every single component and every drawing that gets released without user intervention. So today, with the help of the expertise as well as dedication of the various teams, we have been able to achieve good outcomes. Now we want to transition to a phase where everything runs like a well-oiled machine without much touch time from the user base. This is also in line with our core mantra of driving continuous improvement in our company. Okay, so in a nutshell, right, if you look through our reflections in our cost journey, some of the key things that we highlighted today. The first and foremost, setting the enterprise vision, setting it and making sure that we are aligning the narrative across the entire organization so that all the associates are rallying towards shared goals which are common across the organization. Our focus on the vital few versus trivial many helped us prioritize by business value where we need to focus and what actions needed to be taken first and what could wait for tomorrow. So this helped us drive the outcomes with the maximum return on investment upfront. In today's world, it's all about data and analytics. But data and analytics in the hand of few do not have the same power once we are able to democratize it and put it in the hands of many. Large organizations always have silos that we operate in. Creating mission-based teams help us bust and break those organizational silos. And again, rally everybody towards a common goal so that they could drive, common objectives. The 1+1 here was not 2. The 1+1 here became 11. Another key area I wanted to highlight was around the business transformation that we talked about. And as we looked at this business transformation, we also realized that we could not just do it on our own. We needed good, partners like aPriori in our journey so that we could continue to drive improvements year over year in the costing technologies and solutions that we have deployed in our enterprise. Last but not the least, the most important asset of an organization is its people. So investing in people, investing in their training, spending time with them to help them understand why this is needed and what's in it for them, and then celebrating these accomplishments and the outcomes they are able to drive often is very crucial for the overall success of the initiative. Thank you. It's been our pleasure to walk you through our cost journey and reflections.
Thank you.
Jaswinder and Kedar, I just wanted to thank you from the aPriori team. I think this is a fantastic presentation. And what I'll say to the audience is if you have any questions for either Jaswinder or Kedar, feel free to go onto our costinsight.com platform. And then in the chat window, you can ask any questions you have. And lastly, just wanted to thank everyone again for joining this presentation and all the hard work that GE put together when putting the presentation together. So thank you so much and have a great day.